This is Roy Kicker Legend here with Ben at Fuse MMA, and we're going to show you how to train the clinch today. So I want to congratulate the Fuse MMA fight team under tutelage of Ben Lagman and Don Richard. They've been instrumental in helping the fighters have a good run of success. And as such, the best time to start working on expanding your skill set is coming off of competition. You're not stressed out, you have some time to try some new things, and then you have time to affect it in your sparring. One underdeveloped part of a lot of MMA fighters' game is the clinch. We saw Josh Barnett make great use of it, and a couple other notable fighters, but in general I would say it's an underdeveloped part of their game. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how to train the clinch so that you can get an advantage in a likely underdeveloped part of your opponent's game. A very Thai, Southeast Asian way of training the clinch is to work in a group of three. You don't have to do this every training session, but I do recommend doing it maybe every other week at least if you're training the clinch a lot, because if I'm working with Ben and I do something cool and I effect a cool takedown or something, Don has the luxury to see what's going on. And then when I switch out and I work with Don, Ben has a moment to think about what just happened. He can review what happened to me, and then he can see me try it on Don. Can Don counter it? Do I get Don too? It gives you immediate time to process what's happening, as well as give you some physical rest. It's a great way to do long-form training, half-hour sessions, hour-long sparring sessions. You can go all day if you know how to work with control and to work in this triad structure. Okay, so basics of the clinch. I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible over the basic ideas. So fundamentally, double inside control, hands on the top of the head is my ideal position. And then Ben is going to turn his hips as he weaves one hand in, and then turn his hips as he weaves the other hand in. If I want to go, I'm going to do cross face, keeping my shoulder tight to lock this arm in, and then I switch control to this elbow as I turn my hips in, and then turn my hips in. You notice that when we're not hitting, we're kind of ducking our feet out for balance and keeping our hips relatively close together so that there's no space to hit the knee. The classical way to train this is if you can turn your MMA dial down a little bit to give you the mentality to accept the parameters of the drill. That's how you develop this skill set. You don't want to always transition to long range or grappling, even if you have that tool in your toolkit, because it doesn't give me time to develop this skill set. So it's very important when you're training this to be able to accept the drill on its own terms, otherwise you'll never get better at it. So we're kind of keeping our hips in, maybe a little bit farther away in the MMA context, maybe not quite as high up on our toes as we would in pure Muay Thai, but essentially the idea is I'm trying to close off space so he doesn't have space to knee. And then from this structure, we're trying to land a curved knee. And when Ben feels me go, he's going to turn the hips into it to absorb and cut off the power. In reality, I'm hiking my hip back to strike with the bony part of the knee. In training, more with the inner thigh, and that way we can go for a long time without hurting one another.
Okay guys, what I like here a lot is when my opponent gets his elbows in really tight, and Ben's a really long, tall guy, so it's hard to get my hand inside no matter how much I turn my hips, it's hard to get my hand inside. So what I like to do is crowd his hips and reach around his head here, collapsing his structure here. And then I'll be able to get my hand inside, like we discussed earlier. So from the other side, he's got his elbows tight, so I can't get inside. So I'm gonna reach around, crowd, and then I'll be able to get my hand, boom, like that here. Okay, and then another thing that goes with this, okay, I can reach around here, block the knee here, little bump at the elbow and pull his head, and take down here.
Okay, so more of a wrestling type takedown setup. I come across first onto the bicep, pulling his hips into me. I step to the side of him, raising my elbow up, switch to my knee bump. Other side. So if I'm coming across, finding a bicep, either side works. Come across to the bicep, pull the hip in, step to the side of the elbow, jacking the elbow up, dropping my level, changing my position, following through onto that leg. So that's breaking them in, lowering our level to the knee bump.
One of my favorite ones, picked this up at the Oregon camp in 03 maybe, from Greg Nelson. So I'm going to throw a curved knee to Jedi mind trick him into throwing his own curve kick. After I cut him off, I'm going to use that distraction. Bump his elbow up, duck under, and then get control from the side. You notice that he's perpendicular to me so that I can hit him from the front, I can hit him from the back, I can hit his legs, I can hit his legs. But then I'm kind of waiting in this position, right? I don't need to take him down right away because I can hit him, right? Which is what we want if we have a more striking-based game. And we wait for him to counter, maybe try to throw his knee before we actually take him down. That way I'm essentially getting free hits in. Guys, if you're just starting out working this, I urge you to be a little less frequent with your knees as you learn to just get position and control. Especially because at the beginning, often, if we're learning about throwing knees, we end up just spiking each other a lot, and it doesn't give us time to think about cleaning up our actual position and technique, which is what the real point of the clinch sparring is. After we get that more into our systems and more comfortable with the structure, we can throw knees more often, especially in transition, right? As I'm weaving, right, I'm going to be throwing as I finish my weave into control, and it's very comfortable because we know the structure and the rules of the game and how to play it without hurting each other. Until you get there, I urge you to kind of ease back and think more about the position. Think about not having your heads here so you're not headbutting each other, which when you start out, you often forget until you get a couple shiners. So this is Roy with Don and Ben here at Fuse MMA. Again, congratulations to the Fuse Fight team, and want to wish everyone the best success in 2016. Remember to subscribe to the channel and check their website out, and follow the fighters. They're a great bunch of guys, and get your loved ones private lessons from either one of these guys. Get your friends a trial membership. Nothing's better than training with your friends. Keep the assholes out of here, so don't get them gift certificates. Only the people that you like to work with. This is Roy Kick a Legend here at Fuse MMA. Keep your chin down, elevate your striking.